It's another journey, and today's journey is a neuroscience-based executive coach, therapist, speaker, and the founder of Free Brains Intelligence, a method grounded in the science of the head, heart, and gut, brains, and how they shape our decisions. Leadership and well-being is the author of Leading with Heart and Grit, Relationships, Which Brain is Talking, and How Men and Women Fit. Having navigated his own journey through the intense pressures of leadership, a painful divorce, a near debilitating burnout, and open heart surgery to replace a malfunctioning valve, our guest doesn't speak from theory alone, he speaks from the trenches of personal transformation. I say no more. I welcome Christoffel to the journey.
Hey, thank you so much, David, and a beautiful introduction. Yes, if people listen to this, think, oh wow, not only David had an interesting journey from moving from the UK to the US, hey, also his speakers have a beautiful journey behind them.
Yes, and that is the old, you hit it on the nail on the head. That is the journey. That is the epitome of a journey. Everyone has a unique journey. Everyone has an ambition in life to be, and this is where my ethos comes in. You are amused, you're educated, you're inspired, you observe, and you do understand. Now, I want to start our journey, and I always start every journey. Every journey begins when you are young. Everyone has something that inspires them when they're younger. What was those memories for you?
The funny part is when you look at inspiration. When I was young, like a teenager, actually I wanted to be just like my neighbor, who was a big guy. He was in the Marines, so I wanted to become a Marine. Now, I applied for it and got pushed away because my mental state didn't fit the Marine thing. I was not really listening to commands, and I loved sport, and I actually have a huge interest in a lot of things. So, finishing high school, I was like, I don't know what to do. So I did some tests. I started to study commercial engineering because they advised me that.
Yeah.
And I finished it and got a job in software because I could get a car and I could get a nice money. And actually, I didn't really have a passion because I thought, what would I really like to do in life? And before my 30s, I had, I think, 4 jobs, got sacked 3 times. And 5 jobs. Sacked 3 times, 2 jobs I kept. They have the statistics good. And then I was, say, something in my 30s. I found my passion, actually, my calling. Because I always liked people and working with people. Maybe because I was bullied at school, but I always wanted to see what people are doing and not doing. And I applied for the job as being a leader and the trainer for leadership training for, on that moment, the best company in Europe, really the #1.
Yeah.
Got the job. And then actually really found my calling from, hey, really teaching, helping people to become the best they are. So for me, it took almost to my 30s to find it. And still, if you look at me now, a couple of decades later, I still love my job, although I had some journeys. But I still do the same as when I was, say, younger. I still do my sports. I still eat healthy. I still like to do this. I still like to do that. I still like to do that. So for me, it was always a choice. I cannot choose because I like too many things. And that is also part of my, you could say, of my journey, that I really never focused on one thing. And sometimes I coach somebody and they're working, say, 60 hours only in one job. And they're totally passionate about it. And they're really making a fast move career, whatever they like.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes it would be so nice to have that determination that you only like one thing. Because if you like me, like so many things, it's hard to become the best in one thing. I love my job. I love coaching people. I love the 3 brains. helping people to move. On the other hand, I also love to go to the swimming pool for 3 times a week. I also love to walk my dog every day. I also love to go out to have dinner with my girlfriend or spend time with my girlfriend. Sometimes we just like to watch Netflix or YouTube.
Yeah.
And if you look at all those high performers, think you cannot do that. You have to only focus on one thing. So if I look at my journey, I was a late bloomer, and I still love what I do. I'm extremely passionate about it. But for me, choosing just one thing, I don't know how it's for you, Beckett, is a hard thing because there's so many beautiful things in life. And I always kept in my mind, if you're now at your last days somewhere in this earth, then nobody will ask what kind of career you made, how much money you made. But if you look back on your own life, you like to see, hey, what can I contribute for people? But also, did I had a life?
Yeah.
And so why would you not do the things you love to do? And so that's a balance.
Yeah, and you talk about doing things in later in life, and didn't have the motivation to you as in your 30s. Now, I've had many aspirations in my life. Yes, I had those aspirations. I never went and did some of them because obviously, I never had the ambition, got pushed to do it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, my later life, as I saw it, I did online radio station. I was online with, volunteer presenters at the time, where I did something where I was talking to the
Yeah.
community. Now, I never expected to do that. When I was growing up, I wanted to be a train driver. So it's gone from driving a train to actually talking on the radio. And I got, my former boss when I was on there used to say David is shy. David would never look at you. That was not him condemning me for
Yeah.
what I was like, but he saw that I was a shy, regressed person that kept himself to
Yeah.
himself or pushed himself to put himself out there and put the label to say he is David. And then towards the end, he said, David is one of our most reliable people. David will be
Yeah.
quick to admit he was shy, but now look at him, he looks at you face to face.
Yeah. It's beautiful, yeah, how we learn also in our own life what gives us somewhere an energy or passion.
Yeah.
And the funny part is when you think about it now, with all the knowledge I have, and then you talk about three brains, and just for everybody else, we have a brain in our head, in our heart, in our gut. They're real brains, they have real memory, they can real make decisions, but they make decisions with their own criteria. The gut takes care of yourself, the heart takes care of all your bondings and connections with people, in your head is logical.
Mm,
When I look at my own life, when they are, say, somewhere not totally aligned, based what you say, based on upbringing, based on the push from family, based on whatever you do,
mm,
it's also sometimes too hard to find your calling.
yeah.
And what's happening, and how does actually school motivate you or not motivate you? And how, because I was in, say, in a Rudolf Steiner school when I was young, primary school, and then I went to, say, normal school when I in high school, and there was actually more from, yeah, you have to do all your statistics and all your numbers and all your stuff. But I was saying not a promotion from, hey, let's get the best out of the person. And what could that person bring to society, to the world, or something else? So if I look back, I think schooling system, besides for parents, is also a really important place where they somewhere can help you to find your own passion. If I look back at my own schooling system, I think that was not the place where I found my passion. It was more actually, okay, it is a mandatory thing. You have to get your numbers, you get your scores, pass every year, and then somewhere you're done. When I look back now, I think from it's such a pity because that is one is an extremely important place for all of us. And the most people memories there are from, oh, I was or good in sports, or I got bullied, or I just got my grades, or I had a bad class, or I had a good class. I had some friends there, not friends there. And I think it's such a shame that those 6, 7, 8 years we are on that, in that period, an extremely important period in our life between our 12th and 18th or something like that, in an environment that actually doesn't let you grow, but just actually just feeds you. Oh wow, I got all kind of things behind me. Okay, that's also interesting. And so if you look back, that's why also it's not an explanation, but it's one of the reasons why I say later in life I found my calling, because actually probably in high school, if they had monitored me, they would have said maybe don't do commercial engineering, start doing something like psychology or something else because you love how the humans work.
Mm.
But in my time, if you went to psychology study, there were two reasons why you would go to psychology. One, you were, no, three. One, you were a woman. Secondly, you were so totally messed up, so you wanted to discover yourself. Or three, you could not do anything else, so you became a psychologist.
Yeah.
Now, those were really not really appealing choices to go there on. And if you think about it now, I think it's such a pity how, say, things in life bring you somewhere or don't somewhere.
Yeah, and it is the true calling, often, and you touch on it in such a way that I understand it. You know, People often perceive you to be a certain way. Now, if you're in a big family or if you're in a long line of family that has a role, like for example, if you've got a doctor in your family that was your grandfather, your dad was a doctor, they expect you to be a doctor. So it's a
Yeah.
misconception that you'll carry on the tradition of being the doctor of.
Yeah. Also, that part, yes, absolutely. My parents, not they were survivors of the Second World War in Europe, and so they were not really in their careers, and so they were both smart. So they promoted me or supported me to go to study, but whatever I did was okay for them. Okay, my dad, he was really a sweetie guy. He loved history and all those kind of things. I don't earn any money with history unless you become a teacher. That was not really my history teacher was not really my calling, but
Mm.
he also loved sports. And so if I had become a sportsman, he would have loved it. Now, my qualities of sports are that I love sports, but it doesn't mean I'm good at it. I'm an enthusiastic amateur, and that level I will stay.
And if anyone did ask you about, say, for example, football or soccer, if you
Yeah,
want to go the American way, yeah, I know about my local team.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, say the same. My dad could actually play rather good soccer and was a good runner. Now, my soccer skills really are below average. And so that was not a thing. Yeah, running I could do, but you don't earn any money if you become a runner, unless you become a world champion like Usain Bolt. Now, that quality I did not have.
Yeah,
Yeah, so but
and and
it's-
he's a unique person in his own right mind because of how many records he's broken in his career.
yeah,
So that's
yeah,
one reason I applaud him.
yeah,
So going into the present now, and obviously you moved from where you were, where you was looking at loads of things as you was growing up, but going into the present day. Do you feel like what you do as a person with what you do for work, and obviously you've been through a lot, with
yeah.
health-wise as well. Do you believe the passion for you is as strong as it was for when you were younger and you were more determined to be stronger?
I would say the passion is the same. Actually, it's still not that I like to work 19 hours a week. That's still not my passion. I did it for 10 years when I was working in a training company. I've done it, seen it, and it's not my thing. But my passion is still there. Was the more say, I almost like to say that analogy. Uh, I'm like good wine in therapy or coaching. The more you grow and the more you learn, the better you get. And if I look now at my skills and how I work with people and see people, it's just amazing how I can help them and assist them. And there's sometimes in those dark moments I think van, I asked a lot of money 30 years when I started. Now looking at my quality now, wow, I really didn't do a good job 30 years ago. Still, they paid me. But that's what we all call learning. So that's those moments. No, but it's still there. Why am I also on a podcast and talking to you and to others? Because of the journey, but also the passion is there because the moment people come aware, hey, there is a passion. We have three brains. We can change. We can follow our own calling when we get somewhere aligned. And if one of our brains is actually stopping us, let's investigate why it is stopping us based on trauma, limiting beliefs, or maybe because it's not wise to do. I love it still because we can make actually this world much better and better place where we can allow our calling much sooner to come out to really contribute to what we like to do.
Mm.
So my passion is still there. absolutely, with much more knowledge than I had in the past. Having said that, I also love to still all my other passions I have. I gave myself as an example for my birthday, it was 2 weeks ago, an amazing bike, just a normal pedal bike. I'm
Yeah.
Dutch, so we love amazing bikes. So I bought for myself an amazing bike. And I think, that's amazing. But I can, a couple of weeks, I can jump on my bike and just bike to in Madrid where I live to the forest or and just have fun. I think, and that is still also there. So for me, if you look at passions in our calling, we have a calling, but we also have a life. And I have a dog, and what I love for my dog is the dog enjoys life. And if I look at people around us, David, just walk down the street and see how many people smile or are happy. I don't know if you ever notice it, but if I then walk in Madrid, what is actually a happy city, you see so many people
Yeah.
with a face like this and not smiling. And most times when I walk around with my dog, hello, hola, hola, ¿cómo estás? I say to people, and some people smile back, and some people look at me from, do I know that person? Does he want something from me? And they're like, "Oh, what's happening?" But it is so easy to create happiness for yourself and for other people. And for me, following your calling is actually also following your own passions. And if you follow your passions, then somewhere happiness also steps in.
Yeah. And
And
it
it
does.
doesn't mean you have to become, it doesn't mean you have to become rich. It is what do you really love to do? As you said, a train driver, that's an amazing job.
Mm,
Well, Sheldon from the Big Bang would love to have the job besides
yeah.
winning a Nobel Prize. So it's not about the job doesn't is not defined by how much money or how much people you lead. It's actually how much can it really put your heart and soul in it.
Yeah. And I know if I add my heart and soul into what me being a train driver, because my school when I was, literally about 4 years old up to 11 years old was right next door to the train station. So that's
Oh,
why I grew so passionate about
oh,
liking trains because and my chair, because I was sat in such a place that was not intentionally out for way off
oh,
other students, but they wanted me segregated because they thought I was a problem child.
oh,
My seat was by the window, so I could actually see the train station. So I got used to the trains at certain
oh,
times. Oh, the train's coming in, and trains coming in. And, I knew it,
yeah.
and
But that's really,
I just loved the passion of how the trains were coming in. And I always, at the time, I didn't know where they were going. I just knew it's a big train going up the line. I knew it's a
yeah,
small train coming down the line. I knew
yeah,
it's a small train, but I didn't question where they were going. I was just always amused by the fact that they were going somewhere.
yeah.
And
It has also somewhere, and the same as now. So if you look at the plane, it has something magical. I've seen trains.
yeah.
Little kids, almost every little kid loves to see a train.
Mm. And
It has
then,
something.
obviously, the only time I really paid attention to where the trains were going is if I was A, going on a
Yeah.
train, or B, if I actually went past the train station.
Yes.
And usually when I was going on a train, it was usually going on a journey for real
Yeah.
because I was going to visit my late grandparents who lived
Ah,
300 miles away.
wow.
So I knew I had to go on a train to get from where I lived to where they lived. And I had to change at least once on that train journey to
Yeah.
get another train. So it was like a big train to a station that was like 300 miles away. And
Yeah.
then the rest of 100 miles, I had to catch a smaller train, but it was still nice because I was
Yeah.
seeing the coastal view.
Oh, yeah. But it is. I say I emigrated. I talk about journeys. I emigrated 15 years ago to Australia because the weather in the Netherlands is just like in the UK. It is something like, is it raining? No. Is it gray? Is it what? Those are the choices you have. And if
Mm,
on the sunny days, everybody runs out because we have a sunny day. So I emigrated to Australia, and before I emigrated to Australia, we had a 2 months holidays in Australia. And we took the train actually from Perth to Adelaide. That's a 2-day train ride. We was a little cabin, and you could sleep there, and you could have lunch and dinner and breakfast in the train. And that has something magical. That thing. You can take the plane, and you are there 4 hours. But by train in 2 days, and just seeing all the different landscapes and just being part of the journey
yeah.
is actually makes it something. And we talk about the journey, yeah?
Mm,
And what I learned, I don't know how it's with you, David, but when I was young, you like to achieve something, you like to get somewhere. And now later in life, I say, the journey is actually more important than also achieving it.
Yeah.
It's enjoying the steps. It sounds cliche when I say it, I know, but actually when you start enjoying the steps, every step becomes joy, becomes happiness.
Mm.
It's a huge difference. And
Yeah.
I
And
don't know how
you,
it's for you, but that's anyhow what I learned
and it
somewhere.
is beautiful because, I never expected myself to immigrate.
Yeah,
And obviously, this journey when I came to America was via plane, so I couldn't see much unless the plane dropped down to a certain altitude.
yeah,
But the fact was, when I first came to America, I flew via, trying to remember, via the Atlantic Ocean. Now,
yeah,
I didn't see anything per se at the time until we dropped down as
yeah,
soon as we was hitting the top ends of Canada going into New York. So that was the only time I saw it. But when I flew for the second time, when I actually immigrated, I flew via Canada. So it's a different way altogether,
yeah,
but it was a more lower feeling and I got to see more.
yeah. And
And
that's also a joy. As I said, I lived in Australia for 10 years almost, and I flew once a year or maybe twice a year back to Europe. And the funny part was when you somewhere had an aisle seat, I love aisle seats, but when you had more space, you could also look out of the window and see all the different kind of countries you were just flying above.
yeah,
So it also has something magical from, hey, wow, we're now flying above the Middle East. Oh, wow, we fly above Thailand. Oh, wow, we fly now wherever you fly above. And something like a quick journey where you go.
yeah. But when you're actually in the country, if you haven't been to America or if you haven't been to Europe or anywhere in
Yeah.
Europe, I'm not just specifying major places, but if you haven't been somewhere, it's always exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Even if you're there, it can be exciting because you know it is. But yes, the beauty of say the journey in it, but is beautiful. So I have to say I love safe countries. So not every country I would probably enjoy the journey. If you would say let's go to one say a little bit violent country in Africa, I would not say, oh wow, David, that sounds like a nice journey. I would say, nah, you can go by yourself. Send me a postcard,
Yeah.
send me a video.
But,
But
but
besides that, the journeys of countries is beautiful.
Yeah, and I'm still wanting to achieve some of those goals.
Mm,
I've reached one goal. Like I said, I didn't expect to think of it as a goal,
mm,
but I'm in America now. Yes, I'm parts of America, and I'm not condemning in America in
mm,
any way, but some places are more dangerous than others.
yeah,
Some cities are dangerous than others. But the
yes.
fact is, America, if you are wanting that experience, if you could just go about your own way, you will have that journey, you have that experience.
No, it is.
And then if you go to places where there's conflict or something, like I said, some cities are conflicted because of many reasons.
Yeah,
You will be fearful, but don't be fearful because you still get to see the good parts.
it is not fearful. It's more say cautious in that part.
Mm,
I still remember. I think it was 20 years ago. I took a trip from Los Angeles to San Diego, San Diego by car. So I had a beautiful Mustang convertible playing really nice music, and somewhere in LA, I stopped to have a coffee and step out of my car, totally happy. And a big guy walks to me. You're not from here. And I look at the big guy and say, no, sir. And always think, oop. And he says, you're even not from the US. I said, no, 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 no. I'm visiting from Europe, the Netherlands. He said, let me give you an advice. Step in your car and drive away. This is not your area. And I still remember it. And but the beauty is, it is now more than 20 years ago. I still remember it. It was an interesting, say, part of journey. So in
mm,
that part, you're right. It is not, I say, it's not about being fearful, but being cautious. That there are two different things. Cautious is now you
yeah,
don't go into the conflict, and fearful is when you don't go anywhere because there could be something happening. So there's a difference, absolutely.
yeah.
You're so right in that part.
And I learned that lesson even when I was still living in England. I did thing once when I was in England. Now, I was used to the city I was in, but when I was doing this errand, I think I was doing,
Mm.
I had to go to the other side of the city, and I was not completely
Yeah.
familiar. I use that loosely because I wasn't familiar with it, but I was not familiar with it. And I had my mobile phone out at the time, and it was when maps were starting to be a thing on a mobile phone, and I was like, okay, okay. And then someone came up to me on the bus. I took it as good faith at the time, and
Yeah.
they said, "We can help you find where you're looking for." I said, "Okay, that's fine." They said it's off the next stop, so I said, "Okay." And I got off the bus. They took me down this road where I was assuming it to be because I turned off my map. And next thing I knew, and this is not to scare anyone, and I don't want to scare anyone, but they pulled out a knife saying, "Give me your phone, else we will, knife you."
Yeah.
So I had to hand over my knife, and they said, "If you follow us, we will knife you." So I couldn't just run and say, "Give back my phone." I had to
Yes.
stand still and just let it. But then, luckily, I did give chase anyway. But the fact was, a car came along and saw me giving chase and said, "What happened?" And I quickly explained. And they said, "Get in the car, we try and get him," but we couldn't. So he said, "Call the police." And then the police
Yeah.
came along about a few minutes later because obviously it was a major call.
Yeah.
And the police got me into their car and they said, "Can you see anyone around that would take your phone?" And I'm not being racial in any way, but
Yeah.
because, and my hand goes up in the but they said, "Can you see anyone taking your phone?" I said, "No." And they, do you know why they were saying that? Because I was in an ethnic minority area and the people
Yeah.
who took my phone were white and they
Yes.
wanted to arrest me for being racist. And I was like, "I'm not being racist, but I can't see who took my phone." What else? And they were expecting me to say, "Okay, it's that person in there." It's like,
Yeah.
and in the end, I lost my phone. Luckily, it was only on
Yeah.
like 1%. I don't know if they got any data off mine, but the fact was, the fact,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
put the fear of God into me because, somewhere I was kind of familiar with, I was expecting. So it does show that you can be in a place that you're unfamiliar with. You have to be more cautious. And part of being on a journey, you have to be cautious on many aspects because you don't know what's going to be around that corner.
Yeah. Oh, but and that's actually metaphorically for everything in life, huh?
Hmm.
You don't have to. Well, I always say, let not fear run your life, but it doesn't mean don't be cautious. Yeah,
Yeah.
I said, I love to bike, and in Madrid, biking is something like a rare thing. The only people who bike are the food people who deliver food.
Hmm.
And so biking is say not known. So that means all the car drivers don't know actually bikers. So it is something that you always have to be cautious, otherwise somebody just hits you. So I'm not fearful for being on my bike. It's about you have to be careful. And that's a huge difference. And by the way, you can get robbed everywhere. My girlfriend got 3 weeks ago robbed in Madrid, in the center of Madrid. So yeah, it can happen everywhere. And it learned her also to be cautious more. So sorry.
No. So, while you're having a drink of water to help your throat there, obviously you've written books and you have got a
Yeah,
website. Can you share that with us so people can actually will click on and look into your journey more?
yeah. If you say, I will say it's easy. I have two websites. One is christoffelsnijders.com. That is me. The other one is 3brainsintelligence.com. That makes it much easier for everybody who speaks English. There you can find part of the journey, but also say, what can people, there's a free test of which brain is actually leading your life. So do you follow more your logic? Do you follow more your heart? Do you follow more your gut in your decisions? And there's a little insight if you do the test. Hey, what are your strengths and your weaknesses? And so you can actually make your life better and your own journey a little bit better organized. Yeah,
Mm.
to create more fun and pleasure. And so in the books I wrote, How Men and Women Fit and Relationships, Which Brain Are Talking, are actually two books based on, say, the three brains and how it fits in relationships. Because we all are in a relationship, if it's now with your parents, your kids, or a partner, or with your colleagues. And how do you deal with that? And especially when you look, say, which brain is talking. Because when we talk about the different things, when you say you in your story, when you trusted those people to give you the directions, you
Mm.
actually followed your heart. You believed people are good.
Yeah,
And it is a
exactly.
really good thing to do so, David, unless you are maybe in the situation you are. Then
Mm.
maybe you could have sparked up and said, David, listen to me. You don't know those people. They like to get you. They like to stop you somewhere where you don't know. How do you know you can trust them?
Yeah.
Just do a quick scan of them. Do they look, say, trustworthy? Whatever trustworthy mean. And most times your
Mm.
gut knows a little bit what trustworthy mean. Yeah, did they take a shower? Do they have nice clothes on? Uh, Whatever kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And if you're listening to all of your three brains, I will not say you will not make those choices because you will make them somewhere, but you make them less because you listen to all your different insights. And that makes it so much more helpful when you do things. The carefulness from your gut, the connection and the trust from your heart, and the logic from your head. Hey, does it make sense actually to step out of the bus here? By the way, are there more people stepping out? Is there somewhere a social security here? Or am I really all by myself with two strangers? I don't know.
Mm. And it's a lesson I have learned very well, and I have been very cautious ever since. So I
Yeah,
am more
yeah,
mindful of my mind and
yeah,
before listening to,
yeah, and it makes sense. Eh?
yeah,
Uh, and it doesn't mean don't, as we know the saying, don't judge a book by the cover. So you cannot always judge somebody by how they look or how they smell or whatever, but it gives you some insights.
yeah.
Yeah, that is it's a been so that makes sense. So those are the two books I wrote about those kind of things, and it makes actually people much more understand. Okay, I'm working more from this brain. This brain is more dominant for me. This is more in the people, my partner, my kids, my husband, my parents, my colleagues, and gives you insights how to do better with them. And it makes you more successful. Those are the websites and books, and I love to hear if people like to know it. Please do it.
And I'll make
Just
sure,
make your life better.
yeah, and I'll make sure, like I said, the links are in the description
Yeah.
so people can click
So
as appropriate. So the last ultimate,
awesome.
so the last ultimate question is, you've been on your journey and you're helping someone else who's starting on their journey. What words would you say to those people on their journey now?
Um, well, actually, the same as my what I would say to my kids. Every journey is personal. And so don't listen to other people what they would say about your journey. And follow your own journey. There's a beautiful book, The Alchemist from Paulo Coelho. And I will not say the whole story, but anyhow, an shepherd gets a dream he could find a treasure somewhere in Egypt. And he goes to a fortune teller lady and she says, if you give me, I don't know, 10% of your sheep, then I will tell you what the answer is. Now, he gets the answer, and somewhere he feels not really trustful because he gave a lot of his sheep to the gypsy woman. And then he finds another person and he says, I can give you also an answer. It takes you half of your sheep. And he goes against there and actually gets the same answer. And the person who gives him the answer is what they say the king.
Mm.
And the king said to him, if you always ask confirmation of other people, it's really an expensive hobby. Yeah, so follow your own journey in that part. Follow your own calling, your internal voices from, hey, what would I really like to do? And during the journey, you will get the insights. You will get the signals what you like to do in life and not like to do in life. As it took me until my 30s till I found out what do I like to do. A lot of people when they're 30 already have their careers almost made up. You have now those lists under the 30 millionaires and all this kind of stuff. Now, there is no right or wrong path for your own calling and your own journey.
Mm. True.
Yeah. And the
Uh,
president now in the States is in his 80s, almost 80. So you can become president when you're 80. He would probably never have imagined that when he was 30. Maybe
exactly.
dreamt of it, but maybe not imagined it. So don't focus on, oh, I don't have it now. Just focus on the joy of taking every step.
I like that. And on that, I'd like to say, Christoffel, thank you for sharing your journey with us today.
Thank you so much, David, for having me on your show. Awesome. Love to see you next time or see you in another time.
Yeah,
Success with your show.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, my name is Amy Harrison. I just published another book, and this is the first hard copy I've released. Let's claw right into a sneak peek. Hi, I'm my Galaxy Brat. Error. It is becoming clearer. Y'all probably think I'm annoying. Turns out they all just plain boring. I'm just being me, the realist version. Sweet on the inside, tell like it is on the outside. Yes, I embrace love, never hate. But honesty flies in my mouth like a dove. Be careful before it's too late. If you want to read more, visit the link in the description. Meow at you later.
Parsons. The narrator is Kate Barton. Director and producer, Darren Street. Tim Parsons would like to thank family and friends for their support with the paramedic Chris venture. The series is dedicated to the memory of his father, Reverend David Parsons. Copyright Tim Parsons 2020, all rights reserved. Unauthorized use, copying or sharing of this audiobook is strictly prohibited. This has been a Voice Reel studio production for Tim Parsons.
Oh, good afternoon, everyone. I've just been listening to the Paramedic Chris children's books on audio again, and I just love it because they've given a tribute in one of them to my dad as well, who passed away a few years ago. I love audio books, and it's great to walk around, and it's great to sit at the computer, if you're out jogging or wherever, to listen to them as well. All 4 of the Paramedic Chris children's books are available on audio book from Amazon. Go and take a listen to them. You won't be disappointed. You'll hear what happens when a community pulls together and supports one another. The best thing is to pop over to my website, paramedicchriskidsbooks.org, and you'll see the links on the shop page. Keep safe, everyone, and thank you for being you.
The Journey podcast explores stories of personal growth, challenges, and life-changing moments. Each episode dives into unique experiences, offering insights and inspiration for listeners navigating their own paths. I believe everyone has a story worth sharing. If you'd like to share your journey with David and others, email your story to wisewords1983@reborn.com, and it may be featured in a future episode.